Alright, tonight we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to hook up my NFL Blitz cabinet to run both NFL Blitz 2000 and NBA Jam using a Mike's Arcade Jamma switcher. So Jamma switcher looks like this, and I'll put the link for that in the description. Comes with a cable that looks like this. You can order these in different lengths. Shorter one is pretty hard to wire two boards in the same cabinet, so I would suggest ordering the longer one or ordering a Jamma extension cable. In order to do this with both Blitz and NBA Jam, you're going to need to switch out your joysticks. Blitz comes with 49-way joysticks, but that doesn't work on your NBA Jam board. So your 49-way joysticks look like this with the two sliders and the pin on the side here, and then you'll need to put in standard 8-way joysticks in order for them to both run at the same time. You may need a multimeter, most likely going to need this, and a pair of needle nose pliers. So I've already done some of the prep work here. Inside I have both my boards. Got the NBA Jam board back there, and then mounted in the cabinet is the NFL Blitz board. So in order to get this to work, both boards are going to need at least 5 volts, at least in this scenario. So you're probably going to have to do a lot of adjusting, turning on the cabinet, measuring with your multimeter, and then turning off the cabinet. This one, the power supply adjusts right here with that knob, and I've already adjusted mine prior to the recording so that they'll both run, and I had to get this up to 5.23 volts before it would actually run 5 volts to the second board. Now, even if you have these exact same boards, they might not require 5.23 volts, so make sure you do your measuring on your own. Test at this harness first, and make sure you're not going to anything crazy. Hook it up to the switcher adapter, and then measure at the harness that comes out of the switcher right here, and then hook them up to your boards. So take this, so the blue end that comes mounted onto the board will go onto the first board that you want to boot up. So in this case, I want NFL Blitz to boot up first. So I put that onto the Jamma pins down here. Then I hook the cabinet harness into the top of that. Okay, and that will boot the NFL Blitz first. Okay, then I hook the cable that came with the adapter into the side here, and make sure that you have the correct wires running to the 5 pins right there. Notice the notch there, and that's where your needle nose pliers would come in, because most likely this harness is going to have a key in it that'll prevent you from putting it onto this board. So you can either cut your board, which I don't recommend, or pull out the key. The key will look like this. Okay, you pull that out of your harness that comes with your cabinet or comes in your cabinet, and then mount that onto the top of that board. So with this, you need to make sure you have your ground and your 5-volt red wires. They'll most likely be red, and I'm not going to say always, but most likely this label is going to be facing forward the way that he sends it, and that will go onto the side here. Okay, and then you run that to the Jamma edge connector of your secondary board, and when you switch them, this will be the second game that comes up. Now, how this works here is there's this connector here that you can take off, and that'll prevent the games from switching by hitting both the block buttons. But I want mine to do that, so I leave that on there. So once that is hooked up, I'll turn on the cabinet. So it'll boot whatever the first board is on the screen. So if you don't press anything, it'll pretty much play just like you only have that one board in there. So everything plays correctly. The buttons work on here just like they normally would. Now, this only works like this with games that have 3 or fewer buttons for each player. If you have more buttons than that, like a Mortal Kombat or a Killer Instinct, you're going to need some extra hardware, and I'll do a separate video on that to explain how to hook something up like that. But when you have this game running, since NBA Jam and NFL Blitz both require 3 buttons, when I hit both start buttons simultaneously, it'll switch over to the secondary board, which is NBA Jam in this case. So now I can play both games in the same cabinet by switching, and they both run at the exact same time. So for whatever reason, if you wanted to play both games at the same time, you could, and then switch in between.
Tonight's matchup, Guns versus Knicks.
So that's it for hooking up the Mike's Arcade Jamma switcher. In the next one, I will do a cabinet that requires more than 3 buttons and show you how that works.